Thank you. I will start off briefly, but then I'll give an opportunity for my guests in studio to reiterate some points that they might want to, and then I'll close at the end. I think I want to take us back to the position of the first question that you asked, and that is, how would we rate the education system? My view is that we are certainly on track to become the world-class education system that we're striving to be. And I say that because now we have a clear understanding as to where those gaps are, and we're getting more and more information as we continue to focus on making data-driven decisions. It is imperative now in the entire system, and we've moved to a centralized type of system this year where we have actual data recording that is consistent across the system, so we know exactly where the issues still lie, where the successes are, how do we make decisions based on actual data, not just on I feel this is the way, or I think this is the way, or the finger in the air litmus test. It is critical that we continue to make sure that we make decisions based on the facts of what we see, and that those facts are recorded in a way that helps the continued improvement in the system. So I think certainly by bringing that kind of focus, by bringing that kind of accountability to the system, and with that accountability obviously comes increased transparency. And so I think over the years you have seen, certainly since we took office in 2013, the tone was set from the beginning. Whatever information was gathered, whatever reports were gathered, were put out into the public domain, all of its flowers and flaws combined. And so we were very upfront with the public, saying, look, we are looking at making sure that we create a system that is as beneficial to our children and therefore as beneficial to this country as possible. And we're doing so with the expectation that the community will support the efforts. Nobody is saying that there isn't room for improvement, and therefore constructive criticism is very much welcomed. But that's the key, especially when it comes to education. It has to be constructive. So going back to another caller point about the disrespect that is often articulated when you talk about education and education officials and education, policymakers, etc. Those are the things that are not going to help us in terms of improving the system. And we can't continue to just grasp at whatever colorful document in terms of proposal that may come our way from external forces. It has to be evaluated in a very holistic way. We now have a framework in order to do that. Will we see progress going forward? If, as I said, we continue to have the focus, the laser sharp focus, and continue to have someone at the helm who drives the focus on delivering on those deliverables set out in the plan of action, then I think, yes, we absolutely will see progress. We need to have the support, obviously, as policymakers of the civil service and making sure that they carry out the obligations that they hold in the various positions. But likewise, the service needs to have the support of the policymakers to make sure that we're willing to listen and work collaboratively in developing those policy priorities, which are based on fact and based on research. And I think that we certainly, I've had a great opportunity to work with some real professionals in and throughout the education system here in the Cayman Islands. I've also had the opportunity to work very collaboratively with a number of partners, being that public-private partnerships is a key plank of this administration. And in particular, I'd just like to recognize a number of those individuals or a number of those organizations. We have a great relationship with LIFE, which is Literacy is for Everyone. They support a lot of the literacy initiatives, both at the primary school, but also at the secondary school level as well. We have a good working relationship with Cayman Islands Professional Accountants, the organization that is for the professional accountants. They sponsor and they support the numeracy initiatives in the system. We have a great relationship with Cayman Finance. During this administration, we actually developed and launched and has rolled out and actually increased the scope of the Cayman Finance Ministry of Education and Ministry of Financial Services partnership for students at the dual entry level who until prior to us taking office, those dual entry students, and that is those students who were at UCCI or doing their A-levels, didn't have an opportunity to have real work experience. And so building in this internship availability and knowledge about the financial services industry in particular gives and filled that gap to ensure that all of our Year 12 students, that includes students at SciFec, as well as students who are in the dual entry program, now have the opportunity to participate in actual work readiness type programs through these internships. We also have a great relationship with Hedge Funds Care, who works to support the initiatives about child abuse prevention within the system. We have great relationship also, as I said, with a number of other partners who, we will continue to develop as we go along. I believe that the fact that we're seeing more and more students being able to access the dual entry program, that is students who are able to, take the first year of university or going on to do A-levels while they're still in Year 12, is also a testament that actual progress is making and happening in the system itself. We very much appreciate the work of the Public Works Department, who came on board just this year, this academic year, that is starting from September of this year, who came on board to launch the apprenticeship program for students who are at SciFec, and that is looking at some of the construction apprenticeship type programs. We talked, as a country for a number of years about the need to increase our work readiness of our students. Well, here are some concrete examples of things that have actually been implemented and rolled out since we took office, and developed in many respects as well since we took office. So we have a clear vision for where we want to go as a country. We have a clear framework. We have a clear plan of action of what needs to happen in order to achieve that. And we have commitment within the system, because this plan was not developed in isolation by one individual sitting at the ministry level, contrary to some of the criticisms that may have been thrown out or even what may have existed in the past. This has been a very collaborative effort and initiative by a number of people throughout the system, from the ministry straight on into the schools themselves, and working with students. We've also had student feedback as it relates to a number of initiatives as well. So the takeaway, really, what I want to say, and then, like I said, I'll give the team a brief opportunity to say what they would like to before we close, is as a government, we have a vision, we have a pathway, we have opportunities which we have capitalized on, and we have a motivation to continue the progress that we've started, because we can't afford not to do so. Our children expect no less from us, and our country expects no less from us. And we continue to reach out to the communities and our community partners, such as the Chamber of Commerce. I have actually, on a number of occasions, had meetings with them to see how we can actually strengthen the relationship as it relates to education and training and employability skills, etc. And by the way, we are expecting to deliver a Be Informed session with the Chamber once they have come back to us with a confirmed date and time for that, to ensure that their partners know exactly what's happening in education as well. Because it's important to not just, as I said, talk about rhetoric and focus on the rhetoric, but actually be informed, get the information, and make the decisions based on the facts of what's happening. And this is why today was such an important day, and I want to say thank you for allowing us to be here.